Hello, everybody! Excited utterance here. My name is Hella, and because I'm in Australia, today I'm going to show you an Australian case. Oh my god, imagine that! Imagine that. I don't do that very often because I don't want to get sued. And this one's a little bit tricky also because it's still before the courts, and hopefully that'll be fine because it's actually before the jury right now. So we're likely to get a verdict probably today, I would say. Yeah. So just a small little channel over here, hopefully not causing any trouble, not causing any problems. Yeah, jurors aren't going to hear anything we're saying. No, no. Anyway, before we get started, just say some hellos to people. So, uh, Taryn, Ilya, T-Bone, Satchel Raid. Well, yes, my co-host Ilya will be here shortly, and I love how you use his whole name. That's very nice of you, Taryn. And so, like, try and say your name, Taryn Dusty, Taryn, Taryn, with the southern drawl. I'm not very good at it, really. Now, Mavka, I'm glad you picked up on that. Excited utterance. Steve's book is Death Penalty Desires. Desires, I think you mean, not designs. Incorrect. He has a new book, and it is called Death Penalty Designs. I'm reading it right now, in fact, and he will be speaking about it when he comes on this channel on your Saturday evening, which is my Sunday morning. And the reason he specifically wants to talk about that one is not just because he wants to promo it. When he looked at the death penalty motions for the Brian Koberger case, he was impressed because they aligned very closely with the latest death penalty practices and appellate motions that are part of US law, like the latest ones, and are outlined in his book. And he was like, oh wow, this is right up my alley. I would love to talk about it. So, and it's very much what I've just written about in my book. And he's like, oh look, that's chapter 9. Oh look, that's chapter 2. I was like, calm down, Steve. So he's very much interested in coming and talking about that. So yeah, there you go. Hey Rachel, how are you? And Snivels with the Fire D. You do love the Fire D, don't you, Snivels? I know you always love it. Hello Melissa, Simok, how are you? Do they wear wigs in kangaroo courts? Indeed they do. They wear I don't know what kind of hair that is. I think it's like hog hair or something. It's really, they're stiff, wiry kind of stuff. Really itchy, I've heard. I've really heard those wigs are really, really itchy. So our barristers, they wear the wigs and the silks. So they get all dressed up for court. Listening from the bushes. What are you doing in the bushes? You're hiding in the bushes. Moonvale is here. Hey Moonvale, do you know what those the wigs, the barristers' wigs are made out of? You would know. You're here in Aussie. Hello, and do you know about this case we're covering today, Moonvale? Because it's right in the news. It's in the news constantly at the moment. You heard about the case. It's so sad. I can't believe he tased an elderly lady. Well, he's really being painted as the bad guy. So we'll get into this. Blue-eyed hillbilly, hello. And beautiful waterfall. What is a granny taser? Well, we'll find out in a minute. All right, cool. They cost a small fortune, those wigs, I've heard. Yeah, well, they make a small fortune, the barristers. They do pretty well for themselves. Well, okay, so yes, you're very interested to hear about it. My case in my country. Yeah, okay, so just letting you know, there are no cameras in our courtrooms. So what happens is when there's a case of interest, the media goes in there and they report back. So they sort of do the bit of live blogging and then they show us the clips in the evening. So, and we don't have sort of an Andrea going in there and giving us the nightly roundup. Or maybe I'll do that one day, if there's one you're really interested in. But we have to sort of rely on the mainstream media to give us their take. But it's better than nothing. So, and there's some that are better than others. There are some media outlets that give things better than others, but we get a bit of an insight when there's one that's of great interest. So, right. So let's get into it. What I've gone and done is I have gone and found clips from back when it first happened, which is a year ago. And then I've gone forward in time to now when the trial is on. So let's start. And Dali will be here in a sec as well. Okay, so Granny Taser Trial. So it's a cop who tased a 95-year-old granny on trial for manslaughter. So, yeah, I think it was Buru Berries yesterday in in Sean's stream was saying that he's the coppiest. He looks like the coppiest cop who ever copped, and yeah, he's pretty coppy looking. Hey David, if you want to pop on, David, you're welcome. It's not going to be a terribly long stream, but it should be interesting. Is it even possible to have good media outlet though? No, not really. Not really. But I've gone with a few different ones so we can sort of see if there's any disparities. Okay, so that's actually the lady up there in the top left-hand corner, and that's her a few minutes before it all happened on her little walker. Yeah. Okay, so meet the granny, 95-year-old Clare Nowland of Cooma, New South Wales. Isn't she sweet looking? Are there limitations on what you can say during trial? Yeah, so I'm really only going to say I only really know what's been reported by the media, so I'm not going to go much further than that. Yeah, you can't like give out further information than is already in the public domain. So if you know stuff, like if you're a witness or if you are, I suppose, yeah, if you are like living in the area and you're saying things about the people involved, then you could potentially be in contempt of court. But you just got to be a little bit careful. Also, you can't, if you defame people, if you say things like, "Oh, this person definitely did it," that kind of stuff, then you can get yourself in a bit of trouble that way. Hello, how are you?
Peachy.
So yeah, it's a little bit stricter with things like that. So, I mean, I suppose it's the same. Like you could get in trouble for defaming people in the US as well, but they look at you a little bit more carefully when there's a trial, like actually in process here. Okay, let's keep going. So there's the granny. Isn't she sweet looking? Or no?
Looks dangerous.
She looks dangerous. Yeah, see, here's the thing. Darlie knows I've always been a bit scared of grannies. I have this thing about the Granny Network, and the Granny Network, look, I don't think they should be tased, but they do talk amongst themselves.
Those eyes look evil.
Yeah. They will tell on you, so they know all our secrets, right? So if you go out, and this is from my teenage years, etc., but and even into my adult years, but you go out and you do stuff, like you meet up with people and things. There's always a granny looking through the curtains, and they see you, and then they tell some other granny. There's always a granny who knows you, and they're like the feds basically, but they look sweet and lovely, but they're sus.
Just look at her. Look into her eyes.
You know the thing about a shark? He's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes.
Thank Thank you, darling. It's a granny conspiracy. I've always thought so. Like, there's always one that's dobbing on me. Do you say dobbin?
No.
You don't say dobbin? Dobbin, knocking.
Oh.
That kind of thing. Yeah. Why are her eyes black? Well, you asked me. Ask
They're
her.
like a doll's eyes.
Yeah, my grandmother was evil. Yeah, look, I've known many evil grannies. They get really grumpy in their old age because they don't like the fact they've gotten old and they can't move around as much. See, they get super, super grumpy.
Can't they just go around the old folks' home stealing candy to give to me when I visit on Sunday?
Yeah.
My grandma did.
All right, so now Claire, she was living in an aged care home and she was suffering from dementia. Now, that part's really sad, right? So she was losing her marbles and she was in this aged care home, but she'd made it to 95. Like, she's doing really well. Right? Now, she was known for skydiving on her 80th birthday.
Oh, she's one of those skydiving grannies.
She was a skydiving granny. Yeah. She legit was. She was a skydiving granny. There's footage of her and everything.
I'm sure there is. No, the news always loves those stories.
Yeah. She
Seriously.
was one of them.
You get a granny skydiving for their 80th birthday, oh, the news will be there in a heartbeat.
My granny was a god-tier racist. Oh, they often are.
My grandmother survived World War II Germany, so I can only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, they come from a different time, you know, when... There she is. Yeah, she was no... There she is. She's having a champagne.
Yeah.
After landing on the
thrown
ground.
at?
And she looks a little bit healthier there.
Drunk.
But, yeah, and drunk, yeah. Okay, so next we have the cop. Whoa. Right. Now, it's interesting how the media, like, they only ever show photos of him looking like this. Maybe he only ever does look like this. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have a chin, so I don't know how else he could
but
look.
he always kind of has this scowly kind of look.
Well, I would too if I didn't have a chin.
That's true. And if you were on trial for manslaughter as well.
Yeah, mostly the chin.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't look like a cop. Justin, are you for real?
Well, he doesn't have a
does
mustache.
look like a cop. He does. Okay. So, Senior Constable Kristian White. So, on May 17, 2023, Senior Constable Kristian White, along with a female colleague, was called to Yallambee Lodge. Can you say that? Yallambee?
Yallambee.
After reports of Nowland, who was holding a serrated steak knife and had dementia, wandering around with a knife. So during the encounter, White allegedly discharged his taser at Nowland, who was using a walking frame, leading to her falling and sustaining a skull fracture. She died in hospital days later from her injuries. Yeah, so... There's the thing, it's like, if you're going to taser a 95-year-old lady, and by the way, she weighed, in you guys' terms, 100 pounds or so 47 kilos. You're going to taser an old lady, you kind of got to expect she's not going to make it. Yeah? It kind of becomes a little bit of a lethal weapon. Yeah, it's not just something used to calm someone down anymore. Right. Yeah, E-Man, I thought so. He does look like the type. Right. Yeah, cool. Knives are kind of deadly though too. So there is another side to this. Like, was he justified in doing it? Right. So let's see. Okay. So back when it happened. So we're going to flip back in time now to when it first went down, because it was a big story in Australia right then. And you can imagine the cops kind of were a little bit like, what do we do? Do we support him? Do we not? Yeah, no, everything's fine. Nothing to see here.
Did he yell taser, taser,
taser? Yeah, we didn't do, nothing happened. It's fine. It's fine. All right, so let's watch a bit of the news.
The homicide squad is leading the investigation into how a 95-year-old dementia sufferer was tasered at her nursing home in the Snowy Mountains. Jennifer Beshwati is in Cooma. Jen, how is she doing this afternoon?
Not great.
Good afternoon, Sally. Well, there's been no change to Clare Nowland's condition. She remains critical here at Cooma Hospital, with staff desperately trying to stabilise her, but I'm told that she won't make it through this tragic ordeal. The questions are being raised about the use of excessive force by police. They say that she was holding a steak knife at the Yallambee Lodge nursing home, and despite attempts to de-escalate the situation, she wouldn't drop the weapon. So a senior constable discharged his taser. This constable has 12 years experience. It forced the 95-year-old to instantly collapse. She fell, fracturing her skull. Now, a critical incident team is investigating, with the homicide squad leading the investigation. They're looking through the police body cam, and we're told that the vision is very confronting. Now, police spoke in Sydney earlier today.
At the time she was tasered, she was approaching police, but it is fair to say at a slow pace. She had a walking frame.
How slow?
But she had a knife.
Bless you.
Now, Clare Nowland was a much-loved member of the Cooma community. She's a great-grandmother and dedicated about 50 years of her life volunteering at the local St Vincent's de Paul. Aged care advocates say that proper training is needed for staff and for police in dealing with dementia patients.
You would hope the police could intervene in a respectful way that didn't involve using a taser.
Now, family members, as you can understand, are absolutely devastated by what has happened. We've been watching them come in and out of hospital all day, visibly distressed. But they say the priority right now is to just comfort each other and be by Clare's side as she clings to life. Sally?
All right, thank you very much. Jennifer Beshwati reporting there in Cooma.
Hello and good morning, everyone.
Okay, this is quite interesting.
Welcome to New South Wales Police Headquarters.
This is the
My name is Peter Cotter.
This is the first of two police press conferences, right? Now, I believe they've happened both within a period of like 24 hours. This guy here is way out of his depth. He doesn't know how to deal with the situation. He blasts on for a bit. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'll just pop to a few bits of it where he's really struggling to deal with the questioning, and then I'll take you to the one that happens a bit later, when the charges are announced for the officer in concern. So BO-TTER. I'm an assistant commissioner, and I look after the southern region of New South Wales. Look at him, he's struggling so hard.
Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come here for this conference. Let me start by addressing some of the issues around this matter.
I need to speed him up.
I want to highlight personally and on behalf of the organisation the care and the empathy and the sympathy we feel for the Nowland family.
He's still slow.
Clare Nowland, as we know, a 95-year-old lady and resident of a nursing home in Cooma.
Isn't he right?
But of course, her legacy is a number of children and grandchildren. We feel for all her family. We have been in contact on the ground there at Cooma with our officers, our senior police who have been with the family, and been at the equally...
All right, I don't care about this stuff. I care about around here.
So yes, people were called into duty.
And so how long were ambulance officers there by themselves dealing with this incident, do you know?
I don't know. I'm not, as I said, I'm not intimate with the absolute investigation. It's not my role to do that. As I said, others are doing that independently. They were certainly there a time beforehand, and they were engaging in conversation with Clare, to my understanding, but I can't give an exact time frame.
Could this officer face criminal charges?
I'm not going to answer that question for
not gonna answer
very
that.
obvious reasons.
Why not? What are the reasons?
Well,
You
the
muted,
procedural
Sally.
fairness to the officer.
Ilya.
Let me answer it this way. Clearly, officers in any general sense, any member of the public, any member of the emergency services, any member of the police force is not above the law. Our
Including my
actions,
wife's boyfriend.
whatever we do and wherever we do it, are always under review. If a threshold is met
Steve.
where it changes from being a departmental issue into a criminal issue, we are certainly mature enough and transparent enough as an organisation to do what has to be done.
This
Really?
obviously isn't above the law, but you won't answer the question of whether he could face criminal charges.
I have answered the question for you. I'm not the investigator, and I'm not in a position to talk about whether this officer will or will not face criminal charges. What I've said is that no officer, not one of us, is above the law, and all our actions will be scrutinised robustly and from a criminal perspective, as well as a departmental perspective. And if it tips into either of those domains, you can be rest assured that if it lands there, and I'm talking in a generic sense, then criminal actions will be taken.
Why is
But I'm not going to talk about this specific officer.
Why
Thank
is
you.
it-
Could I just understand, was Clare inside the room at the time by herself, or was there another resident there with her?
No, Claire was in the room where the tasering happened. She was in the room by herself.
Can I just, why is Karen Webb not standing beside you answering questions today?
I am here as a senior representative of the organisation. I'm an assistant commissioner, and that duty falls to me today.
Do you know if police have been called to this nursing home previously to deal with residents' issues?
I'm not really sure on that. I say that absolutely.
He is.
Officer, do you know if the tasers come with a age 3 to 93 warning?
Three? You think 3?
Like toys. Our toys here in America come with like for ages 8 plus or 10 plus, or sometimes like 3 to 93.
Taryn, he actually he tries to backtrack and go, look, I didn't mean to come off that way, because he's really nervous. Like, he doesn't know what to say.
About all of the
Good
material.
Lord, dude, it's a press conference.
And in fairness, that's why we're here
You're
today.
going on a first date.
We've had the time to deal with the family. We've had the time to review the matter. We put the proper investigators in place. And in a general sense, we have a much better informed today to give an honest and transparent and open position of what occurred on that early morning a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And be in a confident and legal and sensible position
Which is not even
to
dead
talk
yet.
to what's happening right now and what's going to happen in the future.
Assistant Commissioner, how many
No.
times
Could you
has
slow it down again?
I will answer that, thank you. Thank you for that question. The taser was discharged once, and that's absolutely
It was
a
twice,
fact.
actually.
How many police officers responded? There were 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye
Appreciate
now.
it.
Bye.
I have to go.
So he wasn't the one to do the final press conference, because he did shit. Okay. So moving on. Then they turned on Kristian pretty fast, right? So everyone was kind of behind him for a bit, and then nah. Hey, do Australians know how electricity works? We invented most things that you use, you know. We're kind of like the Chinese. Like, we invent a lot of shit. Unfortunately, we invented touch DNA.
God, I need the J.D. Vance, the debate picture. When Hella says something, I can just be like, and pull it up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, anyways.
He's not the one I think is cute, is he? No, he's not. No. No, he's not. Okay, anyway, so then they turned on him pretty quick, all right? So let's watch what happens.
More on our breaking news now on the police officer who tasered a 95-year-old dementia sufferer. Let's go live once again to Isabel Mullen at Cooma Police Station. Isabel, what can you tell us?
Well, good evening, Mark. Kristian White, that 33-year-old police officer, has just been formally charged with 3 serious offences.
Well,
Police Commissioner Karen Webb is expected to address the media in Sydney just before 7 o'clock tonight. Let me run you through his charges. He's been charged with recklessly causing grievous bodily harm, assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and common assault. Mr. White remains suspended and off his duties, but he has been stood down with pay. All this while Clare Nowland, is in hospital receiving end-of-life care. Mr. White is expected to face Cooma local court on July 5. Mark.
Isabel Mullen with the very latest from
local
Cooma. Thank you.
Here we go.
Within the last hour, New South Wales Police have commenced legal action against a 33-year-old senior constable from Monaro Police District for the offences of recklessly inflict grievous bodily harm, assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and assault. He will appear at the Cooma local court on Wednesday, the 5th of July this year. This matter now is before the court, and there's little more than I can say about it, other than to say that the Nowland family have been informed of this development, and our thoughts and prayers are with Mrs. Nowland and her family this evening. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank the detectives who worked around the clock on this to get to this point within 7 days of that accident and nasty incident involving Mrs. Nowland and the serious charges now before the court.
Accident.
Are there any questions?
Commissioner, how hard?
I mean, she's not a prosecutor, but she just said
with accusations the police will be covering this up.
She just said accident. That wasn't very good.
I don't know what Australia law is, but I mean, that kind of sounds like
not intentional.
Yeah. Well, but like, her agency has pressed charges, so I don't know. I don't think they can really use that. I mean, defense might try, but who knows? Why do you talk that way, David? David? I talk normally. What about you?
It'll be a snow job, but you'll go easy.
I've said from the beginning, it's important now,
I was just
and I
going to
remain
say that.
the same, that this is...
Ooh, do you give a good snow job?
So yeah, are they going to go easy on him? Will it be a snow job, everybody?
the proper process to remain fair and to see that the investigation is not prejudiced. And I'm confident that we have come to a position now, 7 days later, that this matter is before the court without that interference.
Are you able to explain the decision to stand him down with pay?
He's in New South Wales. It's you're innocent until proven guilty, and so he is afforded the same opportunity as any other resident, and his employment will continue to be reviewed, but at the moment he is still suspended from the workplace.
Commissioner, could those charges be upgraded at any stage?
It is possible. It depends on what happens.
And
what's the morale of the force at this point?
Well, of course, this has been traumatic for everyone in the police force, and this is one matter. While the rest of the police force continues to do their job 24/7 to protect and look after the citizens of New South Wales.
Why haven't you released the body cam footage or watched it yourself?
I'm not the investigator.
How do you go forward from here in terms of the reputation of the force? Because there are many thousands who do the right thing multiple times every single day that don't make news, and all it takes is 1 or 2 rogue officers, allegedly rogue officers, and all of a sudden it's headline news for a week. How do you restore trust in your police force?
The community of New South Wales have trust in their police force, and as you say, this is one incident out of many, many calls for service. Over 2 million calls of service every year that we respond to for all sorts of things. So I'm sure that the community can be reassured that New South Wales Police will carry on with the job that we always do.
Yeah.
Commissioner, are you able to tell us
1 out of 2 million. What more do you want?
Within the last hour.
Commissioner, are you able to explain what the reaction of the family was to the news that there had been charges laid?
No, I can't update you on that.
Are you able to explain how the LECC investigation will operate now that there are criminal charges laid?
That will still be maintained parallel to the criminal investigation.
Why are they on suspended leave without pay rather than suspended?
Oh my God, that was already asked.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So the officer has been suspended from the workplace.
So it's permanent. It's not going to.
Well, that will be subject to the court and the outcomes and my deliberations later down the track.
Mindful that your answer will be circumspect here because it is going to be before the court and there's one of your officers as well. It has been reported and you would know
That's right,
of
Mads.
what is alleged to be a disturbingly cavalier attitude from somebody with a taser in his gun standing in front of a 95-year-old officer. Are you dreading what's going to be coming out of this?
Ooh, are you
I mean,
dreading?
I've heard what's in that footage, and really that will be for a court to decide now.
But
I don't want to preempt it.
Are you dreading people seeing it?
Well, I am concerned about what that will reveal, and that will be borne out in court like any other court matter.
Commissioner, just to clarify, it is what...
Yes, I am dreading people seeing it. It's going to be so bad. We're going to look so bad. Is that
What more do you guys want? You know, it's only one granny. God, they
Yeah,
die
I mean,
every
come
day.
on. Like,
She was 94. What more do you want?
Exact. She had a good life. And also, if this is all you have to worry about from a police force across an entire state, you guys have got it pretty good.
Don't get
Come on
dementia.
now.
You'll be safe.
Yeah. Right? Come on. Trust us. We got this.
It's on that footage that has led to the charges tonight?
No, it's not. It's not. The decision about commencing
3
legal
weeks left.
proceedings
Why?
is based on all the evidence and all the material, so including statements from witnesses, experts, and footage,
doing her
and
a favour.
anything else that's gone into the brief of evidence. It will form part of the brief of evidence.
Are you aware whether the officer involved was breath tested any time afterwards?
Oh, was he
given the fact that
drinking?
he was off duty at the time?
I'll have to check that. It is routine that when a critical
Was he
incident is
drinking?
declared that does happen as a matter of course.
Is the officer in hospital at the moment?
Pardon?
Is the officer in hospital at the moment?
I'm not aware that he is.
would he be
He's
in
certainly been
hospital?
notified and served process, but certainly our thoughts are with the Nowland family right now.
I don't think his
So moving
would have
forward,
had
he's
good
being
aim if he
charged.
was
The focus
drinking.
tomorrow, will that be back on the family and looking after?
Well, it's always been on the family, and in fact, Assistant Commissioner Cotter and the Commander visited the family tonight, so that remains our concern.
The fact that you've called a media conference now, 10 minutes before
Media conference.
we're off air, it shows the urgency of this, and I guess the urgency to get the message out that there are no cover-ups, that you
That's
don't
right.
go soft and you will charge.
No cover-ups.
Is it
Don't
true
wanna
to
go
say that
soft.
there wasn't urgency about getting
Soft.
this message out? as
Well,
soon as it was
I
resolved?
committed
You'll have to get a Baldo.
very early on that as soon as I had an update, I would provide it, and so within an hour of commencing legal proceedings, I'm here in front of you.
What was the reaction of the officer to the charges?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't present for that, but
I'm sure he was
obviously
so
we'll
happy.
see what happens in court now. But thank you for coming.
Will
Thank
Mr.
you.
Tsanos be able to speak at all? Paul, can we
Watch
ask
this
a
bit,
few
watch this
couple of
bit.
questions? I mean, operationally as well
Look,
for you.
They
It's been a
ambushed
very
this
tough
dude.
week.
Oh yeah, it's a tough week. We've also had a lot of other business that we've had to attend to, but it has been a tough week.
How do you, I was saying to Ma'am Webb just
He's
then,
like,
how do you
"Oh, no."
restore the reputation of the force?
I think it's just day by day, week by week, and we just continue, to do the job that we do.
He knows
and
he can't
I think
say
it just has to
anything
happen
or he'll
gradually.
get his ass rained. But he's also scared to just leave.
Look, I think a lot of things come out of a critical incident investigation, use of taser, how it's used, and that's par for the course. It's what we do, and we'll review what occurred. Thanks.
Let me go. Okay, what did I say? Oh no.
Just like Homer Simpson into the bushes.
That was funny.
Oh.
She's like, oh shit, she's left.
Oh shit, I was supposed to leave with her.
Yeah,
Crap. Why'd I stay?
Why did I stay? Oh no. All right, so I'll get this. Okay, so the first court hearing came
Oh
up.
god, that guy has... How does that guy have a double chin with no chin?
That looks like a photo from like his high school yearbook or something.
That looks like one of Murtaugh's kids.
Yes. 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 Right? So It's like they go and dig up the very worst photo they can possibly find of this dude, right?
He's got a
but
double
still,
neck with no chin.
He looks like 13 there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now this looks really bad. So the first court hearing comes up, and this happens.
Good evening. The first court hearing for the police officer charged over the
With no
tasering
chin.
of a 95-year-old great-grandmother has triggered a furious tirade from the magistrate. Kristian White was a no-show in the courtroom,
Oh, his last name is
appearing by
White.
video link, blindsiding the
He's
magistrate
racist as
and
well.
others.
Mari Twist drove 4 hours from Kiama to Cooma to see Kristian White front court. Only the suspended cop was a no-show.
He should be here facing everybody.
Extra security was organised for the senior constable's first appearance, but the prosecutor allowed him to video in, sparking fury from the magistrate. Who runs this court, you or me? Dumbo here sitting on the bench just has to suck it up. In future, I will determine who will appear via AVL, not the DPP. Is that clear? Clare Nowland died in hospital in May, a week after being taken. I will determine who
runs this court, you or me? Dumbo here, sitting on the bench, just has to suck it up. In future, I'll decide
will appear via
AVL,
not the DPP.
Not the DPP.
Audio video link.
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Is that clear? That is such an Australian thing to say.
No, can you go into more details, sir? I'm not sure I understand. I'd just be a dick.
Dumbo here on the bench.
Is he calling himself Dumbo?
Yeah. So what he's doing is he's really pissed off that the prosecutor has allowed.
Okay.
Because he's the cop, right? So the prosecutor and the cop are kind of like mates.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So the defendant, this is a snow job, you see, right? So the defendant and the cop, and the prosecutor have kind of had a chitty chat and gone, and defendant's gone, I don't really want to come to the hearing. Can I just dial in by Zoom?
Was the prosecutor there?
I don't know, probably. But prosecutor doesn't have to worry about the families. It's him that has to worry about the families, the copper, right? Because the families have all driven in from Kiama or somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? God knows where that
Had
is.
to suffer the stench of Cooma.
Yeah. And and the judge didn't even know. And so the judge is going, I'm sitting there like Dumbo on the bench. Who runs this courtroom? Yeah. Unbelievable. Hey, Manuel, how's it going? And hey, Yamaha. Dear me. They drove in from Wanker. We've probably got a town called Wanker.
Yeah. Clare Nowland died in hospital in May, a week after being tasered in her Cooma nursing home. The 95-year-old dementia patient was holding a steak knife when White allegedly urged her to stop several times before saying bugger it as he fired his weapon. The officer is charged with recklessly causing grievous bodily harm, but that could be upgraded to manslaughter.
As you can imagine, he's very stressed, he's very concerned about Mrs. Nowland's family. He's very concerned about his own future, and this takes an enormous toll on everyone.
The prosecutor tried and failed to force White to show up to court in the future. The magistrate also putting a protection on the names of witnesses to the nursing home tasering in the wake of serious threats. One of Clare's 24 grandchildren, Kylie Paskey, was at today's hearing as the family and the community hope for an explanation.
That poor lady, it's not something that should happen to anybody.
In Cooma, Tiffany Genders, 9 News.
All right, cool. So fast forward to now. Right, so that was back then, this is now. So the nursing home taser trial started a week and a half or so ago. They said it was going to last 3 weeks, but it's pretty well over. It's with the jury. So These are only like little 2-minute clips, these ones. Let's have a look.
Early in the morning at this Cooma aged care facility last May, staff called 000 about an aggressive resident. 95-year-old Clare Nowland was holding a knife and slowly approaching 2 police officers with her walker while they tried to speak to her in an administration room. On the first day of Senior Constable Kristian White's trial, jurors heard body-worn cameras captured what followed. The accused said "bugger it" and deliberately discharged his taser towards Mrs. Nowland, who fell backwards and sustained what was a fatal head injury.
Pause.
The great-grandmother died a week later.
Yeah.
He said "bugger it" and discharged his taser?
Yeah.
Is that a euphemism?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look good that he said "bugger it." Right?
No.
Like,
Yeah, you don't want to bugger a 95-year-old.
Well, no, but I mean,
Tell me about it.
It depends how he comes across when he says "bugger it." Now, he did testify, and that's going to come out soon. So, well, this report here, this 2-minute report, is about the first day of trial, and so we're talking about opening statements at the moment. So they're just going to give like a little overview of what's coming up. But when he does testify, we're going to read a little bit of an article and go through the things that he said, and he's going to kind of explain away why he said "bugger it."
Later in hospital, where family members had maintained a vigil. The Crown argues the use of the taser constitutes manslaughter by criminal negligence or unlawful or dangerous act. The 34-year-old officer has pleaded not guilty. The jury was told the evidence will explore whether Kristian White's actions exceeded the force that was reasonably necessary with regard to Clare Nowland's age and lack of mobility. The Crown argues the officer owed a duty of care to Mrs. Nowland, who had shown signs of dementia but was not diagnosed. Kristian White's lawyer says his client had a duty to protect police, paramedics, nursing staff and Mrs. Nowland herself from harm and prevent a breach of peace.
Great job!
A breach of the peace is exactly what was occurring, and it continued until he discharged his taser on Mrs. Nowland. The defence says Kristian White's case hasn't changed since he made an internal police record on the day. As a violent confrontation was imminent and to prevent injury to police, the taser was discharged. The trial is expected to run for up to 3 weeks. Jamie McKinnell, ABC News, Sydney.
Okay, so here we go. Let me just get something out. All right, so we're going to see the CCTV. They haven't released the body cam because it's too confronting. But we're going to see the CCTV of that night. So it runs for about 2 minutes or so. And we get to see this dangerous granny walking around being very confrontational. And this is after the nursing home staff have dealt with her supposedly walking around with a steak knife, being quite threatening for a couple of hours. And they're like, well, we will read out the 911 call in a moment, but 911 000 call in a moment. But these 4 officers are called in, and by the way, it's not a 24-hour police station, so they're sort of coming in fresh in the middle of the night, have to get out of bed and stuff like that. So let's watch. Okay, so they're coming in. Okay, so there they are. Now, see, there she is, there. Can you see her?
Mm.
Top left-hand corner. See? Whoops. There.
Okay.
She's waiting. She knows. She can see them there, and she's hiding. Right? She's actually hiding. So she watches them walk past, and now she's scooting along. Right? She's going to go to a different spot to get away from them. Look at her. Look at how fast she's going and how dangerous she is. Really? She's got a steak knife? Like, there she... Oh, she's coming out from behind the column. Look, look, look. Yeah, she's wearing pajamas. So she's heading back this way, right? Now, this room here, hang on, let me show you. This, oh, there she goes. She's going to go hide in that room, right? So she's going to hide in that room. Now, that room is this room on the left. So that there, you can see her walker, right? You can see her walker there. She's trying to escape the nursing home. Prisoner escape, yeah, right? Okay, now, this woman here, this ambulance officer, oh, you'll see the rest in a minute. Okay, so the ambulance officer that we were just looking at, oops, she was going to start talking to her, like trying to reason with her. Now, let's go to the next one. And you could see that Kristian White was right behind her.
Good evening. For the first time tonight, we can bring you pictures of Clare Nowland inside her Cooma nursing home in the moments leading up to her tasering. The vision released by the Supreme Court shows the 95-year-old shuffling through rooms as police and paramedics search for her.
It's just before 5 a.m. in May last year, and Kristian White is looking for Clare Nowland. He and other emergency services don't spot the 95-year-old standing just around the corner. By now, she's been wandering the Cooma facility with a steak knife for 2 hours. As they walk off, she moves slowly with her walker to the home's treatment room, where they eventually find her and try to negotiate. Within a minute, she's tasered, passing away a week later. The court hearing Clare's behaviour changed dramatically in her final months. In March, at the main gate of the nursing home, she struggled with staff. In April, she tried to climb the fence, getting stuck in a tree and taken to hospital. A few days later, becoming agitated and ramming a woman with her walker. Professor Susan Curl made a post-mortem diagnosis of moderate to moderately severe dementia, saying she was unable to necessarily understand what was happening to her or comply with instructions. In the weeks leading up to the incident, Clare started taking antipsychotics to help with her aggressive symptoms. But just 2 days before the tasering, that medication dose was halved. Nurse Rosalind Baker tried to reason with Clare that morning. We offered her warm drinks, chocolate, but after she entered 4 residents' rooms with a knife, she called 000. She said when Kristian White pulled his taser, "In my years of experience as a nurse, almost 50 years, I've never seen anything like that." He's pleaded not guilty to manslaughter. At the Supreme Court, Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
Okay, now that puts a different complexion on things, don't you think? She'd been into, 3 different people's rooms with a knife before this all happened. And she'd had her medication stuffed with.
She's even worse than my grandmother.
Yeah, that's the asshat. Yeah. Ooh. You think Aussie News rules? Yeah, well, it's just what we're used to here. Okay, so jury's shown CCTV footage, so let's have a bit of a look at this article. Show this tab. Okay, now this is the most horrendous suit. What was he thinking when he went to court in this suit?
Wait, is his other leg female?
No, that's his wife.
Oh, well, I'm just saying it looks like that's his other leg.
Yeah. I mean, what? Come on. Like, the jury needs to convict you just for wearing that suit, dude. Like, what do you... Okay,
Thank you, Taryn. At least he found it funny. Yeah, thank you. He has one female leg. God, that was amazing.
Taryn's here supporting you, Ilya.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, so there is some testimony here. Okay, so the vision showed Mrs. Nowland using her walker to make her way to the doorway. You're going to get tased! Footage from the body-worn cameras of the two police officers called to Yallambee Lodge was also played in court, including sound from the interaction. So, yeah, they didn't release the sound to the public. Ms. Nowland could be seen seated in a nurse's office with a walker in front of her. She was asked by emergency services personnel to put down a knife she had in her possession on a table and to stay seated. Mrs. Nowland appeared to put down an unidentifiable black object from her left hand, but then stood up using her walker with a knife still in her right hand. So here's the thing. So she had two, apparently, right? So she was getting around with these two knives.
Well,
and
is this a Crocodile Dundee knife? That's not a knife.
No.
This is a knife.
No, it's not really a big knife at all. And look again. He's got that leg again. There you go. Senior Constable White could be heard saying,
"Wait,
we're
they
not
both
playing."
Got the same shoes.
They do. No, they don't.
Don't they?
No, they're brown R.M. Williams. Anyway, do you want to be him? Do you want to be the copper?
Yeah.
Senior Constable White could be heard saying,
"We're not playing this game, Claire."
Excellent.
Put it down now. We're not wielding knives in here.
Yeah, I have
Mate?
to work on your Aussie accent. Mate.
I do.
Yeah.
I added a mate at the end. You see this? This is a taser. And she said, "That's a taser? No, this is a taser."
Oh dear. Senior Constable White could be heard repeatedly warning Mrs. Nowland.
Hey now. Put it down. Simmer down, mate. Don't get your kangaroos in a bunch. I got myself a taser here, Mom.
And repeatedly warning Mrs. Nowland and activating his taser. So, okay, I don't know how tasers work. Do you actually, turn them on and flick them and go, hey, look, it's on, it's on?
Yeah, you have to turn them on, I think. You keep coming. You come within 3 foot of me, you're going to get tased.
Okay.
Stop now. Don't let me give you another warning.
Okay, so he fully warned her.
I doubt it.
A body-worn camera then showed Senior Constable White saying, "Bugger it," before firing the taser. Wow. That doesn't sound good. Mrs. Nowland then fell backwards and emergency services officers ran towards her as she lay on the floor. Well, it's a good thing that they did because they were there. Senior Constable White could be heard saying, "Claire, come on, you're all right."
You're all right. Walk it off. Or walker it off.
As he knelt by Mrs. Nowland's side, holding her wrist. A separate 36-minute CCTV video of Clare Nowland taken at Yallambee Lodge on March 14, 2023, 2 months before the tasering, was also shown to court. It showed her sitting in her walker at the main gate for a time before staff tried to escort her away. Yeah, that's a bit sad, that one. It appeared to show Mrs. Nowland hitting a staff member.
Damn.
Oh.
She's a violent little minx.
Wow.
Damn.
Okay. Resident statements. Earlier today, Sarita Maestri, a forensic pathologist who prepared an autopsy report on Mrs. Nowland's death, told the court the cause of Mrs. Nowland's death was in keeping with blunt force trauma to the head. Yeah, not surprised. She also told the court that Mrs. Nowland measured 1.4 meters and weighed 47.5 kilograms at autopsy.
God,
So
can't you just use imperial like the rest of the world?
How about you use metric like the rest of the world?
Then we'd have to convert.
Come on. Grow up as a nation. Dear me.
Even Libya uses it.
Oh, Libya. Yeah, they're just at the forefront.
They used to be like an American colony. They're like one of 3 countries.
The police statements of 2 residents of Yallambee Lodge were also read to court. One resident wrote that Mrs. Nowland came to his room at about 3 a.m. on the morning in question, holding 2 steak knives in her right hand. Wow. She sat on his bed
She was
before
double fisting.
Shut up.
I meant with like beer like you're double fisting it.
Oh my God.
It's like when it's like
Ilya.
well, it's like you're carrying 2 beer cans. It's an expression in America.
Is it?
Yes. I think.
I don't believe you.
Double fisting.
She sat. No, you don't type that into Google.
Oh. Okay. First link was Pornhub. Third link was expression used to describe someone at a party, bar, or restaurant holding 2 drinks, 1 in each hand. So we're
Satchel,
okay.
go to your room. Okay, she sat on his bed before he and a nurse tried to usher her from his room. The man's statement said he did not feel threatened or scared by Mrs. Nowland because she was using a walker. Okay, so not even the old man was scared of her. That's weird. Okay, so the officer who led a critical incident investigation into the tasering, Detective Sergeant Mitchell Bosworth, began his testimony yesterday when a recording of a 000 call made by a staff member at Yallambee Lodge was played to the jury. That's our 911. Okay, so with 49 seconds. I'll be the operator. You be the staff caller. All right, operator, tell me exactly what happened.
We just have a very aggressive resident, and she's going in different rooms. We tried getting her out. We managed to get her out from a couple of rooms and went into the 3rd room. She's acting like a kangaroo, which she cannot even come out. She's 2 little knives like a roo paw that she's picked up from the kitchen drawer and raising them against the staff. Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's armed with a knife?
Yes, she's armed with a knife. Couple of knives, actually. Kind of like the Crocodile Dundee one, actually, if you know what I'm saying. If you've seen that movie. I assume you have, you're in Australia. She's in one of the residents' rooms.
Is she responding normally?
Yes, but she's known to be an aggressive client. Oh. Not normally with knives, but sure, that's normal.
Okay, oh, we got the knives. Ooh. Hang on.
Oh, yeah, that shit'll do damage.
Okay. That's not nothing.
No.
No. Picture of 2 steak knives and pen light seized from a desk in a treatment room at Yallambee Lodge. Why the pen light?
Maybe she thought it was a knife.
Okay, some showed 2 knives and a pen light that police allegedly seized from treatment room. The jury was also shown pictures of pajamas Mrs. Nowland was wearing on the day she was tasered. Small holes and marks on both her top and pants were highlighted in the images. Oh,
they
it's her
even
gym jams.
They even ruined her pajamas?
Oh. Disregard any media commentary. Supreme Court Justice Ian Harrison began day 2 of the trial by reminding the jury to disregard any media commentary. Yeah, okay. The prosecution has alleged Senior Constable White breached a duty of care. We know that. The defence will argue it was a reasonable use of force. The trial was adjourned to Wednesday. Right, let's go back to where we were. Next.
The female police officer with Kristian White when he tasered Clare Nowland has today told a court she was comfortable with the situation. Jessica Pang also described how she twice tried to grab the knife from the 95-year-old.
They were shoulder to shoulder with Kristian White as they tried to convince Clare Nowland to drop the knife. Today, those first responders called as witnesses. White's partner, Senior Constable Jessica Pang, says she twice tried to grab the knife, but each time I did, she would hold the knife up. And when she tried to kick the wheel of her walker, she says the 95-year-old made stabbing motions. In a statement later made to police, she said, "I believe we had done the best we could with the situation we were given." When asked if it was appropriate that Mr. White tasered Mrs. Nowland, she replied, I was comfortable with the situation." Ambulance officer Anna Hoffner agreed that Clare was moving slow and that emergency services could move away easily, but said Clare had the intent to harm Jess. When she looked up, she had a look in her eyes.
Whoa.
Senior Constable Pang also said in her statement, "I remember I was scared. There was this wave of darkness that went over her face." The Crown played Senior Constable Pang's own police body cam vision of the incident. At one point, the prosecutor said to her, "You weren't close to her at all," to which she replied, "I felt close." Paramedics were preparing to sedate Clare moments before the tasering, but the defence asked, "There was no way you were going to administer a sedative while she had the knife." Hoffner replied, "That's correct." Kristian White has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter. At the Supreme Court, Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
She was scary. She was scary. So can you see what's happening here, guys? It sounds like they're closing ranks to me. I feel like there is something happening here with the officers, the paramedics. They're all going, nah, nothing to see here. He did what we would have done. We couldn't have disarmed her. She was very scary with her knives, and we couldn't administer a sedative, and that was the right thing to do. And yep, that's it. All fine. He's a good guy. That's it. Bye-bye. And look at the lovely photo of him here. Doesn't he look kind? Okay. So, police officer who tased a 95-year-old was using a walker, blah, blah, blah. Where's the next bit? Trial enters second week. So on the 6th day of trial in Sydney, Defence Barrister Troy Edwards SC called on his client to enter the witness box. So he took the stand, everybody. It was the first time the officer had spoken publicly since the incident. He was asked about his training as a police officer and if he remembered the advice about dealing with someone carrying a knife. He said, "It was taught that you don't underestimate anyone carrying a knife at all." The officer told the jury he did not think Mrs. Nowland would be seriously injured as a result of being tasered, and was asked how he felt about her death. He didn't think that... Okay. You taser a 95-year-old woman, and you don't think it's going to cause her serious injury or death. Really? Dude, you shouldn't be having control of a taser. Really. We're up to his testimony. Hey.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, we're up to his testimony. Okay.
Sorry.
Yep. So I'm upset and devastated by it. I never intended for her to
Wait,
be
should I be
injured at
him?
all. No, it's fine. Mr. Edwards asked his client if he took Mrs. Nowland's elderly state into account before deploying the taser. Senior Constable White said he did and issued a number of verbal directions for her to drop the steak knife. But that's not an answer to the question. Okay, I was going to give her every opportunity to have her comply with my directions. Do you believe you did that? Mr. Edwards asked. I believe
I thought I did.
In a southern US accent. Initial attempts to disarm failed. So the officer told the court he initially hoped his colleague, Acting Sergeant Jessica Payne...
I hoped that she could grab the knife off Mrs. Nowland to disarm her.
Okay, so let's push it back on her, shall we? Because in her testimony, she completely defended him.
I was hoping she'd yell, "Taser, taser, taser," and take down the threat.
He said the failed attempt resulted in Mrs. Nowland giving a very intense stare.
Oh my God. Wait, an intense stare?
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
don't know why. I just thought of Jaws.
Her actions were not safe and becoming intimidating towards us. There were 4 of them. 4, like, grown, healthy people.
Okay, but then did you take into account the 95-year-old woman was staring at them intently?
Yeah. You think not guilty, Scott? Look, I tend to think not guilty too. Like, I don't really think that he should be put away for manslaughter for this. I just don't think that he acted correctly, though.
How about a day for every day she had left to live?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, her life expectancy at that point was about that of some milk.
It doesn't mean that you can just do anything you like to her, though. Like,
no, but he made a mistake. I
feel like it was a mistake. Yeah. I feel that there should be some reprimand for it.
Yeah, lose his job. Okay.
I think he should lose his job. I don't think he should be in charge of a weapon.
No.
And yeah.
No boomerang.
Yeah. No boomerang. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to it is. I don't really think that he should be criminally charged, but I don't really know what the answer is to this one. But I don't think that tasering a 95-year-old woman when there's so many people there who could have done something else, like just jab her with a needle, like from behind, like a sedative. Surely there's a way of distracting her and getting a sedative into her.
I mean, the sedatives take a couple minutes to work, though.
Yeah, well, she moves.
She could have stabbed them in the meantime. She's not exactly Harambe.
No.
I was using the Harambe defense.
Yeah, you're 100% not guilty. I'm 0% guilty. And not guilty, but he's a cuck. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like that too. I felt the threat was increasing significantly. It definitely clearly communicated her intent that she was going to use the knife if anyone got near her. He said simply
sneak up on
away.
her. She can't hear you.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, she snuck up on them.
That is true.
I know, right? And I find that very amusing. The way she snuck up on them was classic.
Little bastard.
I know. She's just like.
Like cartoon music with her quick.
In the last moments of her life, she was kind of having fun. He said simply walking away from Ms. Nowland would not have resolved the situation, and activating the warning arc of his taser was a communication technique to try and scare Claire.
Can't you just lock her in the room?
Hey, yes! Yes!
I don't think he should be in prison, but lock her in the room for an hour or two.
But that's the smartest thing I've heard you say in months.
Thank you.
Right?
Wait.
Legit, though. Like, she was in the room. Close the door.
Yeah.
Close the door. Like, she'll get sleepy.
Yeah.
She's a granny. She's going to get sleepy.
I mean, it's probably going to be like in the morning when she falls asleep, but...
So what? Like,
yeah,
if she's a danger to people, just close the door.
I mean, yeah, she's a danger to herself, I guess, but...
Well, you can... But there's CCTV in there. You can watch her.
True.
Ilya! You cracked the case!
Well, just option.
Hey, Claude Simeon. In US, if you commit a crime and have unexpectedly bad result, you are guilty of murder if the person dies, etc. Does Oz have similar rule? Even if most wouldn't have died, you are screwed. Hang on a minute. Let me just think that through. If you commit a crime and have unexpectedly bad result...
Like if you go to rob a store and don't intend to actually use force, but something happens where you get scared and discharge your weapon at the person accidentally, you're still guilty for murder.
Yeah, that's the same.
So,
That's
half
the same.
Irish said it before me, so credit to her.
Yeah.
She's the smarter one.
Who is?
Half Irish.
Yeah, because our laws are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a duty to keep her safe. You can't do that in that situation. Can't do what? Put her in a room?
Yeah, boy, this episode of Golden Girls was a real downer.
Oh, I remember that episode. The dementia episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Golden Girls down the hall. They have put her right out. Yeah, I love Golden Girls, but I hate it when they got all preachy.
I know.
Ugh,
They have a
annoying.
chlamydia episode.
Oh yeah, there's a chlamydia episode. There's one where Betty White,
Of course.
Rose, she has a drug problem as well. She has to go to rehab. There's all sorts of it's just it's like you start watching Golden Girls, you think you're gonna have a great laugh, and then they start getting all serious on you. Anyway, I didn't want to tase Claire. Earlier, he was asked why he said bugger it before discharging the taser. Oh, I want to know about this. So he said he took into account that attempts to communicate with Mrs. Nowland were not working. The incident had been going on for several hours, and the danger was increasing. I didn't want to tase Claire, Senior Constable White said, but I was also weighing up the safety of everyone present. Her intent was quite clear. She was going to use the knife on us. The accused said it was his responsibility as a police officer to ensure no one got stabbed. It's one of the core ethos of police to protect life. It's part of our training from day dot. That doesn't explain the bugger it.
One for Americans and
Yeah,
Europeans.
day dot. We say that. Yeah, day dot is the beginning. That doesn't explain the bugger it at all. Senior Constable White told the
Unless
court
you
he
fancied her.
We don't really use the term bugger in that way much. No, like bugger just means like damn it. Don't you guys use it like that?
That's how I know it, or fuck it. I think of F it. Like, oh well.
Yeah.
Not like, damn it, I have to do this.
We say bugger it a lot. Like I grew up with my mum saying she doesn't swear at all, but she says bugger it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I didn't think it was a swear word at all.
Really?
No. I had to grow up to find out what that meant.
What do you think it means?
I know what it means now.
Oh, okay.
But like, when I was growing up, I would say bugger it, like even as a tiny little kid, because my mum would say bugger it.
Yeah.
You know, but she doesn't swear at all. Like not even a little bit. Okay. So under cross-examination from Crown Prosecutor Brett Hatfield, SC, he was asked whether Mrs. Nowland's physical characteristics were taken into account. Did she look like she was frail? Mr. Hatfield said. I think you're asking the proverbial piece of string question. Oh, eek, that's a bad answer.
What does that mean?
How long is a piece of string? You don't. Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay. So how long's a piece of string is like asking, like how tall is it? How high is the sky? Right. So you don't know. How long's a piece of string? If I ask you how long's a piece of string, well, what piece of string? You don't know.
Okay.
Right. So do you guys not say that? In
No,
the US?
but I
How long's a
understand
piece of
what you
string?
mean.
Yeah.
No.
So so he's asking, like he's saying in response to that question, did she look frail? The Constable White is saying, I think you're asking the proverbial piece of string question, which is a little bit
flippant.
It's a bit flippant. It's a little bit sort of egotistical. I don't really like that answer at all. I don't think the jury would like that answer because it was a pretty simple question. Yeah. When Mr. Hatfield repeated the question, the police officer responded by saying, she was not the frailest I've seen.
Okay.
Just be honest, dude. She looks frail, for God's sake.
Then again, she is going around the nursing home wielding 2 knives.
Yeah.
How frail are you at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, he was trying to say it's a redundant question, which it's not his place to say that. He's being asked it on the stand. He has to answer.
That is true, Scott. She tried to climb a fence to escape, so she may be frail, but she doesn't care. Okay.
She may be frail, but she doesn't care, but that wasn't up to the officer to decide in that moment. Like, he didn't know.
Well, he
she'd
didn't
been
know.
climbing things. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, brag about it, officer. Right. I thought she looked quite well for someone at 95 years of age.
Before I got done with her,
Yeah, well, does that help you?
then I gave her the old Aussie care.
Yeah. Get the old boot out. For a bit of an ass kicking. The Crown also questioned if Senior Constable White felt Mrs. Nowland would be able to reach the distance where he and Acting Sergeant Pank stood, between 1.5 and 2 meters away, in order to stab them, given it took her about a minute to move 1 meter from the desk to the doorway. Right, so do you know what a meter is?
Yeah, it's a length of measurement.
Okay, so it's...
It's 3.28 feet.
3.28 feet. Okay. So she's moving in a minute. It takes her a minute to move that far. Right? Yeah. Yeah, scary, right? Roughly a yard. It's a bit more than a yard. Yeah.
Well, how far can she throw a knife?
I would expect.
Hey, if Courtney Clenny can do it, she can.
True.
Plus, she might have an OnlyFans as well.
There was nothing imminent about what Mrs. Nowland was doing, the Crown asked. It seemed pretty imminent, her intent, that she was going to stab anyone there, he said. Senior Constable White told the court he thought Mrs. Nowland would have fallen onto her walker when the taser engaged because she was hunched over at the time, but instead she fell backwards. The Crown also put to Senior Constable White that there was about 60 seconds between him drawing his taser and discharging it at Mrs. Nowland. The Crown also challenged Senior Constable White's assumption that Mrs. Nowland had been wandering about Yallambee Lodge for several hours when the incident began at 3 a.m. and ended at 5 a.m. So the court heard Senior Constable White graduated from the Police Academy in 2011 and had been stationed at Cooma Station since 2017. The prosecution alleges the 34-year-old committed manslaughter by way of criminal negligence or by committing an unlawful or dangerous act. The defense argues their client's actions were not disproportionate to the threats. Alrighty. Well, I don't know about that. Let's keep going. Bugger it.
Kristian White was fed up and impatient when he tasered a 95-year-old nursing home resident, according to the Crown, as it closes the manslaughter case against the police officer. But his defence says Clare Nowland posed a legitimate threat. It's now up to the jury to weigh up the evidence.
Utterly unnecessary. That's how the Crown described Kristian White's use of a taser on a 95-year-old in its final remarks to the jury. Clare Nowland, who had dementia, was armed with a knife in her Cooma nursing home in May last year. The police officer's defence arguing she demonstrated repeatedly over 2 hours that she was not putting that knife down voluntarily and that he had a job to do. White reported shortly after the incident that a violent confrontation was imminent. Today, the Crown prosecutor said everyone else present was at a safe distance. Ask yourself, who could she have injured at that moment? No one. Arguing that when Kristian White said bugger it before tasering the 95-year-old, it was completely inconsistent with preventing a violent confrontation. He was fed up, impatient, not prepared to wait any longer. First responders negotiated with Clare for less than 3 minutes, asking her to stop 20 times before she was tasered, dying a week later. The prosecution saying it was obviously excessive use of force, the defence saying he had run out of options and a reasonable person would not consider his use of the taser to be disproportionate to the risk. The Crown says its case rests on the clear evidence captured on the police body-worn footage and CCTV, which shows the entire incident, asking the jury to draw the judgments it needs to draw. Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
Okay, so, boom. Let me go check if there's been a verdict. I just went and had a check and it's not in yet. So it's 11:22 down in New South Wales, 11:22 a.m. So I will keep you guys posted when there is a verdict. I will put it up on my community page. I'll tweet about it. I'll put it in Discord. So members, if you remember, you'll hear about it first. But make sure you're subscribed and you've got notifications on. If you're not a member, you'll see it on my community page. Or follow me on Twitter and you'll find out too. Rachel, the nursing home needs held accountable as well. Have you heard anything, Hella? See, I don't know if they would get held accountable because they're not the one that tasered her. And they called 000, and did they really do anything wrong? I don't know. Maybe there would be some sort of investigation internally as to did they follow all the right processes, looking after her dementia. I expect there probably would be, but they're not responsible for her death, I wouldn't think. Somebody else has taken the fall for that, and that is the officer. So, yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I don't think that the way that they handled the dementia side of it in terms of halving her dose of her medication a couple of days earlier necessarily would not have contributed to what was going on. When you just halve someone's medication, I know myself, when I've had medication just like cut in a large amount like that, it's pretty jarring. And she seemed like she wasn't the most stable to start off with, did she? So that's a bit of a concern. Yeah, anyway, that was fun, kind of, in a weird way. Yeah, thank you for letting me share an Australian thing. Now, we're going to go and raid Sean. Just before we do, I wanted to let you know that on Saturday night, so 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturday evening, I have Steve Gosney coming on. Yay! Steve is back. Yay, we have Steve. And Steve is really interested to tell us all about his thoughts regarding the death penalty motions in the Coburger case. So, he's, as you know, a bit of an expert when it comes to death penalty motions. So, and not that he's a fan of it, he hates the death penalty. He's very much against the death penalty. He is a death penalty qualified appellate attorney. So he argues against the death penalty. Don't taste my grandma, bro. Hello, DB. How are you? Good to have you here. Yeah. Tell your friends, DB. Coburger stream, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We have a death penalty expert coming on and talking about the motions that were just unsuccessful, but never fear. He was actually super impressed by them when he saw them. He said that they are preserved for the record. They're exactly what they should be. And he'll talk about what the next steps are for the death penalty side of the arguments going forward for Coburger. So it's going. He said it'll be a bit of a masterclass. He said strap in because we're going to be talking through what the defense has done, and he's very impressed by it actually. So yeah, cool. So yeah, see you there, DB. Cool. Right, and also it's so great to have Steve back. Steve is a national treasure, absolutely. Such a wealth of knowledge, and to have him talking on his main topic of expertise will be fantastic, and on the Coburger case as well. So Really wonderful to have him doing that. Yay! So that's Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. There's the link for it there. Awesome. I'll be sharing that around the interwebs in the next 12 to 24 hours. And now we're going to go see Sean. Alrighty. And I'm pretty sure like I said, I'm not starting a justice for Mr. Ibarra. Is that his name?
Yeah.
No, I think he's pretty well done for. I think he's pretty well done. Is Steve a big Judy Clark fan? I don't know who Judy Clark is.
Me neither.
Who's that? No. Fat Man Raid. Yeah, we're going to bring some sangers. Now, a sanger is a sandwich. If you
she represented Ted Kaczynski and some other high-profile ones.
Okay. So a sanger is a sandwich, and if you are a redhead or a ginger, you're a ranger. So if you're a redhead eating a sandwich, then you're a ranger eating a sanger. It's true. Sanger. Yeah. Sanger, sandwich, ranger, redhead. Ranger eating a sanger. All right, so let's just say hello, Raid, when we get in there. Let's go. And time for the song. Because why not? I still haven't got a new song yet.
Her name was Ella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. Her co-host is Dolly and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803. To be said.